Gracias. Perfecto. Luisa, perfecto. Podemos comenzar.
Okay, profe. Okay. Okay, so right now, I'm going to share my screen for you, okay? Okay. Okay. You see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. 1 second. Okay. Okay, so good morning in Australia and good evening here in Colombia. Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you to the inviters to give us the opportunity to be with you today in this afternoon and in this morning for you. It's a pleasure to us to having you doing this presentation. It's a pleasure to us. And for me, for being a student, I also grateful for the university to giving me this opportunity to translate. Okay, so at first we're going to show you a video introduces our country and our cities, okay? Okay, profe, ¿puede proyectar el video?
Por su biodiversidad y sus paisajes espectaculares.
Pour les villages coloniaux de Villa de Leyva, de Barichara.
Por la costa caribe y las playas del Tayrona.
Pour la jungle amazonienne, pour la région du café.
Por la magia de la Sierra Nevada.
Pour les couleurs de Caño Cristales, pour la plongée à Providencia.
Por el desierto de la Guajira.
La Colombie, c'est des régions encore inexplorées.
It doesn't matter if you like history, architecture, nature, sport, or just to chill, you will find everything in Colombia.
Por la diversidad en cuanto a la música, la diversidad en cuanto a la gente, las culturas y por las mujeres, porque más no sé.
Por su gastronomía, es increíble encontrar jugos, frutas, ajiaco y bandeja paisa.
Sans hésiter pour la diversité des peuples et des paysages.
Porque en Colombia ustedes siempre serán bienvenidos.
Somos alegres, amables, fiesteros, acogedores. Mi casa es tu casa.
Ven y disfruta Colombia.
Okay, thank you for the video. Thank you for the video, Miss Dorian. Okay, so right now I'm going to share the presentation with you. 1 second. Okay, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we continue with the 4th day of International Nursing Week 2022 with the conversation post-pandemic disease education, challenge, and opportunity. We ask our participants to open their cameras at the time required of the attendance. Please keep the microphones closed. We also grade the professors and students of the university who accompany us today. And once again, on the Cooperative University of Colombia opens academic space enhanced with the university and strategies allies. If any of the attendees want to ask any question, they can do raising their hand or through the chat. And today to agenda, we will begin with this. And we're going to say welcome. As the video says, we are a happy country, and like the video says also, mi casa es tu casa, that this translate, my home is your home. So thank you for being here. Okay, so now let's hear the presentation of University of University Cooperative of Colombia. Okay.
Continúa, Luisa, por favor.
Okay. Okay, let's begin some generation information about Colombia. In the unique places you can spend while visiting Colombia is located at the north of South America. It's the only country on the continent that has coasting in both of Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. We are the only NATO global partner in Latin America, and our basic economy is the third largest in South America. Here we can see the historical city of Cartagena located on Colombian Caribbean coast. Cartagena colonial walled city is forest in the sites by the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The city history, spectacular beaches, and a scenic landscape make it a popular destination. In our capital city of Bogotá, you can see panoramic views from the hill of Monserrate and visit Plaza Bolívar, where the mayor's offices is located. Close to the plaza in Bogotá historic district, La Candelaria, here you can well find the private cultural and educational and commercial center of the capital. And also Medellin, known as the eternal spring, thanks to its temperate weather, is another popular destination. It has the most urban and technological in our country, and we can find the best soft coffee of the world. And also Santa Marta was the first Spanish settlement in Colombia, but it's currently popular for its surrounding graphical and national park. On the right that you can see the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta mountains, where 4 indigenous communities and the Tayrona National Park coexist. This area is special because of the diversity flora and fauna, along with the beauty and nearby beaches. Okay. Let's continue. In the nursing education in Colombia has 67 nursing programs accredited by the Ministry of Education. 24 of these programs are in the public university and 43 of this program is in private university. The duration of all these program grants is the 4 or 5 years, but the semesters can be changed because sometimes it's 8 semesters or 10 semesters. And during the pandemic of COVID-19, the university make us our practice for a good better of us. So our practice was settlement for like the normal, only was with a couple of students, like 5 or 6, even 7 students by professors. But during this pandemic, we do this practice without normally. And now thanks to the change of this pandemic, we can go to these like the hospital or clinics with like unsafe. Okay. Okay, and now we introduce of some occurs. I invite us to come Colombia to make this course that is called Health Indigenous Communities. This program is directed by a professor called Davis Carrasquilla, that he's a teacher here on our university, and also with a nurse that is called Seleni Perez. She's also a teacher here in our university, and by an indigenous nurse that is called Gloria Torres. She's also being part of this team of our summer course. And the duration of the summer course have 10 days. Okay, so thank you. If you have any questions, we will be able to hear you now, okay?
Could I just ask what the short course, the Indigenous course, I can see you were doing vaccinations there. What other sort of care were you providing other than vaccinations?
Ok, pues profesora Dorian, y a las personas que están aquí en esta reunión, la doctora hizo una pregunta acerca de que ella pudo ver en la imagen reflejada de que nosotros también hacemos campañas de vacunación a las comunidades indígenas. Entonces, la profesora, la doctora, quiere saber cómo pues nosotros hacemos estas jornadas de vacunación. Pues si alguno quiere responder pues esta pregunta a la doctora, yo sería muy amable de traducirle la respuesta. Okay, so Ms. Gail, so I translate to all the people that hear that you make that question, and if someone here on the reunion wanna answer these questions, I'm going to translate to you, okay? Pues si alguno quiere responder esta respuesta, pues es bienvenido.
O de los estudiantes, si quieren contestar en inglés, pueden hacerlo. Camilo, John, si quieren hacerlo, bien puedan.
Excuse me, Luisa, you can repeat, please?
Sí, la doctora hizo una pregunta acerca de que en una de las imágenes se puede evidenciar que nosotros hacemos campañas de vacunación pues a los indígenas. Ella quisiera saber cómo nosotros nos preparamos para hacer estas campañas y qué diferencias tienen de la vacunación de que nosotros hacemos a las personas normales, o sea, a un habitante normal de aquí de Santa Marta, a las comunidades indígenas. Pues si algún estudiante o algún profesor quiere responder esta pregunta, pues puede ser bienvenido.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to answer your question, Professor Gale. We have an agreement with an indigenous health institution, so we can go with them to the communities and to put vaccines. Actually, I must say that in these last 2 years from the pandemic, we couldn't travel to the indigenous communities. They closed to everybody. So actually recently they have a problem because the children didn't receive vaccines these last 2 years. But they gave us the opportunity to travel there, to know the people, to introduce to the communities. But actually we can do that because we have some research projects with them. Yes. Because actually they don't allow that everybody goes to the air from there, yes, to the communities. Yes. They don't accept everybody.
It was really the same here, that during the pandemic, our Indigenous communities were shut down because you're right, a lot of those Aboriginal people were not vaccinated, and the concern was that if COVID spread there would be very high mortality. So they were all just shut down for really the duration of the pandemic. And in fact, in Western Australia, in Perth, where we are today, from midnight last night, we don't need to wear masks anymore. So up until this point, we have been wearing masks, but there's still a lot of cases every day. I think, I don't know about you ladies at Joondalup, but I'll still be wearing my mask when I go out, but still nearly 9,000 cases yesterday. So I think they're taking the mask off a bit early, but anyway, that's another story. It's up to us to decide whether we wear them or not now. Thank you for answering that question.
Okay, thank you. So we have a couple of questions for you. So the first question, Camilo, can you make the question, please?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So we have a couple of questions for you, a little bit questions. So we have a couple of students to make those questions, okay? Camilo, ¿puedes hacer la pregunta?
Yeah. And what is your perception about the return to face-to-face classes?
So
we're still online.
We're still online at the moment because we've still got restrictions here in WA. So all our classes have been via Zoom still.
Ladies, what semester are you?
Semester 5.
Semester 5. Okay, so third year. And at my university, so which university are you from, you ladies? Are you from
Charles Darwin?
Charles Darwin, okay. So the university where I work, all of the teaching has returned face-to-face. So Charles Darwin University isn't in Perth, so that's why you're learning. But through the university itself, has it actually returned to face-to-face learning, or is it still all online?
It's there's been some returns just to small classes, not to large groups though.
Right, okay. And ours all returned face-to-face this semester, really. So when university recommenced in February, it was all back face-to-face. There was density limits, so there was still 1 student per 2 square meters. So that did make it a little bit tricky for large classes, which needed kind of double the space. But because ours is a small university, we have been able, without large student numbers, we have been able to manage that okay. But as of today, that 2 square meter rule has changed and we don't have that density limit anymore. So that's going to make things a lot easier for us.
Okay, thank you so much. And now I'm going to translate your answer in Spanish, okay? Bueno, pues las dos señoritas pues que están ahí en la universidad aún todavía no han podido egresar pues a clases presenciales, todavía están en clases virtuales, pues ya que digamos todavía se presentan más casos del COVID, entonces ellos proveen eso. Y con la doctora Kate Ross, ella dijo pues que también es como un desafío para ellos de volver a la presencialidad, ya que también se presentan pues altos números de casos, entonces es distinto pues para ellas como para otras personas. Igual que nosotros pues que también ya estamos en la presencialidad, pero también se corre ese riesgo pues de estar pues salir con personas contagiadas.
I'm sorry, I have a question, Dr. Gail and students. Do you have clinic practice during pandemic?
During
the last
the
2 years. What's the difference? What's the difference?
We had a few like practicals in hospitals cancelled over a period of time, but we've returned this year back to full hospital practical now.
At our university, it was very difficult because the students couldn't go into the hospitals, but in order to be registered, they still need to undertake a minimum number of practical hours. So for those students who were in, semester 5 and 6 and were getting ready to finish their degree, they couldn't go on to graduate until they had made up that practical time. So it was very difficult, in particularly for those students towards the end of their training. For those students sort of in first year, maybe early second year, not so bad because you've got more time to pick up that practicum, but it has been very challenging for us, yes.
Thanks. Actually, we are scared. we from since May 15, we are going to out the mask. We are not going to use more the mask on the streets and in the university, but actually we prefer that our students continue using, sorry for my Spanish, continue using the mask in the clinics because, well, COVID is here too, and we still have COVID. Yes, we still have some cases, so it's important to be safe.
Yes, it hasn't gone away, not at all, which is why I will still be wearing my mask, I think.
Thank you. Luisa, tenemos otra pregunta.
Ok, el siguiente estudiante que pueda hacer la pregunta, por favor. Okay.
What are the main challenges in nursing education in the post-pandemic period?
We aren't actually post-pandemic. We're right in the middle of our pandemic in Western Australia. We're probably at the peak right now. So we have been on the COVID ward for the last 2 weeks before we got moved. So it's a different period for us. Yes, we're more in the peak right now.
I think from the university perspective, for the academic staff anyway, we had to move, not so much for me because I only work in postgraduate and all of postgraduate is online. But certainly I know for my academic colleagues, they needed to move very, very quickly and move all of their face-to-face lectures online. And that needed to be done in a period of days, really very quickly. So I think now that they've, and of course for some of them, mastering the technology was also a bit of a challenge. But I think we're on top of that now. We understand that and we know how to do it. So I feel moving forward, it's probably given us more flexibility. We know that the students don't have to come on campus. The students tell us that they enjoy coming on campus because they enjoy that collegiality and the atmosphere and seeing their friends, and you know, they have to get dressed and they have to get to bed and they have to come to lectures, and they have really missed that. And of course particularly I think for the students, but yeah, I think moving forward it means that we can be a lot more flexible. We know that we can continue teaching using new technology, but yes, the students would prefer to be on campus and we would like to have them there as well.
Okay, thank you for your answer. I'm gonna translate now to the other people, okay? Ok, entonces lo que dijeron pues las dos señoritas de la otra universidad dijeron que pues para ella ha sido digamos como que un poco difícil ya que todavía están en el pico del COVID, aún todavía no han bajado los casos de COVID, entonces por esa razón es que todavía están digamos en la virtualidad. Y para la doctora Kate Ross, dijo que ella, digamos, es importante también la tecnología, que gracias a eso la tecnología, digamos, han podido avanzar. Dijo también que los estudiantes disfrutan ir al campus, o sea, a la universidad, así también como nosotros, pero que digamos todavía por el momento ha sido un poco complicado, pues porque los casos tampoco han disminuido, entonces es un reto para ellos. Ok, tenemos una tercera pregunta. ¿Alguien quiere hacer la pregunta? Glani, si te gustaría hacer la pregunta.
Yes. What are the main opportunities in nursing education in the post-pandemic period?
So currently there's a very big shortage of nursing staff. So it's a big opportunity for nurses to kind of go into whatever specialty they want at the moment. So everyone's been moving around and trying new things recently.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. It's provided lots of opportunity and also opportunity for nurses to upskill in different areas. I think the prediction, and certainly for us here in Western Australia, the prediction about the number of patients and the number of deaths, we haven't reached that number at all. I think the government waited until a large number of the population were vaccine boosted before they relaxed the rules. And I think for that reason, we haven't seen the morbidity and the mortality that was predicted. But in the preparation for what we thought was going to be a lot worse, a lot of nurses upskilled into critical care areas, you know, became ventilator competent and competent with advanced respiratory and inotropes and all of that sort of thing, on the expectation that they would maybe need to move into critical care areas. So I see that as a good thing, but it just hasn't been nearly as bad as the modelling predicted for us. So for that reason, we're very glad.
And myself and Rebecca are both enrolled nurses already, and we've gone back to university to do our registered nursing conversion while pandemic's been on.
Perfect, great opportunity. Dorian, do you have, if we talk about the difference between enrolled nurses and registered nurses, is that something you're familiar with?
Oh, from Australia, I believe that we have some difference, right?
I think from memory you do. I think we'd spoken about this before. So in Australia, and ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, enrolled nursing is a 1-year course. It's either 1 year or 18 months, I think. Is that correct? 18 months, and it's not undertaken at university. It's undertaken at a technical college. But as these ladies said, they then have the opportunity to transfer across to university and then continue their studies to become registered nurses. So that's fantastic. And we love to see that, because having worked as enrolled nurses, they come with fantastic skills and experience already that makes that transition, I think, easy for me to say, but do you think it makes the transition easier for you to move into the registered nurse? Yeah, absolutely. Some of the best nurses I ever worked in when I worked in emergency were enrolled nurses. They are so practical and so skilled, and well done for you.
Thanks. Actually, here it's different because the technical students, they don't go up to universities and don't have the quality of the university. So here we can receive, we can have students from technology to nurse. Yes, to professional nurse. No, if you are a technician, you need to start from zero. Yes, here our education system don't accept right now, maybe in the future could change, but right now we can accept the education from the technology assistants or technology nurses. We can accept that kind of education in the universities. But actually in our university, we have many students that are assistants, so they work in the night, and in the day they came to university to study nursing. Yes, because yes, it's different. The salary is different, the opportunities are different. So, but unfortunately, we don't accept that kind of education in technologies schools.
Yeah, that's a shame. And as you said, maybe that will change in the future. But we love enrolled nurses because, as I said, they come with a lot of skill and experience already, and very practical experience. So having said that, we still need enrolled nurses as well. And not every enrolled nurse wants to transition to be a registered nurse, but as I said, it is an opportunity that's available to them if they want to do that.
Actually, this afternoon, we were talking with a colleague from USA. Sorry, this morning. He was with our students talking about climate change. And she said that in USA, it's different because the nurse in USA can make prescriptions like drugs. I don't know if drugs it's right, the word, medication. Maybe drugs can understand another thing. They can give medication. Sorry, sometimes when you translate, can understand another thing.
It's okay, you're in Colombia.
Okay. It's for that we need to clarify. So it's different because in Colombia, we can give medication to the patients. We can make prescription. Yes, we can make. We only can send the patients anticonceptivos. I don't know how this translation, Luisa. Medication from no have children. How the word? Contraceptives, maybe?
Contraceptive?
Contraceptives, yes.
Yes.
We can prescribe contraceptive, but we can't prescribe another kind of medication.
Look, in Australia, we have another category of nurse called a nurse practitioner. So that is a master's qualification specifically in advanced, so pharmacology, and advanced assessment, and they tend to specialize in an area, and within that area they can prescribe. So they might be a cardiology nurse practitioner or an oncology nurse practitioner, and within that it's called a formulary. And within their specialty, they have quite a large range of medications that they can prescribe, but I can't do that. And when these ladies finish their training, they won't be able to do that. You need to train as a nurse practitioner, and then you can. And they are very, oh, my dog wants to say hello. They are very, very much, they like to have them in those rural parts of Australia. I think we may have talked about this before. So those communities where it's hard to get, sorry, hang on a minute. Where it's hard to get and retain doctors, they really like to have these very skilled nurses there to be able to provide primary care.
Thank you. Luisa?
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to translate now to the public, okay? Ok, so básicamente pues la pregunta que se hizo fue que cuáles eran las principales oportunidades en la educación de enfermería, digamos, en el periodo después de la pandemia. Pues tanto pues para las señoritas de la otra universidad como la doctora Kate Ross dijeron que eran las mismas, que digamos gracias a la pandemia ya pudieron cambiar estas oportunidades que ahora eran más amplias, y también como lo que ustedes pudieron estar esta mañana en la conferencia de esta mañana, pues también hicieron unas preguntas de que si aquí en Colombia había la diferencia entre enfermera practicante a enfermera pues jefe. Aquí se le conoce como enfermera auxiliar y jefe enfermera o enfermería jefe. Y pues ya que allá en esos países de Europa y América y Norteamérica es muy distinto, ya que allá todas tienen el mismo rol, cumplen el mismo rol, no hay como que esa barrera que hay aquí. Entonces pues la respuesta de la doctora Dorian fue que digamos que sí existe esa barrera de que hay entre las enfermeras auxiliares como las enfermeras jefes, y que a ella les gustaría que en un futuro esto pudiera cambiar y que todo fuera equitativamente mundialmente. Okay, and now for the last questions, I want to make this question that is, what is the main lessons learned in the clinical and community practice?
So recently we've been working on the COVID ward here at Joondalup. So we've learned how to be a clean nurse. So we have two of us working for one patient, and one goes into the room, one stands outside the room and takes the notes. So learning how to do all that and manage that without doctors around.
Yeah, I think these ladies would be best placed to answer that question. And just the hospital that they're currently working at is a very large hospital in the northern suburbs of Perth. How many beds are up there? I think about 700.
Yeah, to be about that. Yeah.
Big public and private hospital.
Yes.
And I think you're actually taking well, maybe not the bulk of the COVID patients, but you're certainly taking quite a lot of them, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. They were trying to initially keep some hospitals clean hospitals and some, free of COVID, but I think they gave up on that in the end. So how many COVID wards are there, if I can ask?
There's one COVID specific ward, but each area of specialty, for example, maternity, they have specialised isolation rooms as well.
And paediatrics as well.
And peds, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there's, how many beds is there upstairs in L2?
So we've got 30 beds on the main COVID ward.
Yeah.
And then there's like a mother ward, and there's a paediatric ward. There's also a mother and baby ward as well.
Yeah. Quite a number of my students, my master's and my postgraduate students have COVID. My best friend sent me a text yesterday saying she was about to binge on Netflix for the next week, and she was feeling good. It's just she tested positive. So she said, well, I have no choice. I have to stay in bed and watch movies for a week. So she's not unhappy. But, you know, we don't underestimate that it is a very serious illness. I think at the moment we have around 250 people in hospital here and about 8 in intensive care. So much less than we thought. So I'm not sure that that answers your question, Louisa.
Yes, that is exactly the answer. Thank you so much. Okay, and now I'm going to translate the answer, okay? Bueno, la pregunta que se hizo fue que cuáles fueron las principales lecciones aplicadas tanto en la práctica comunitaria como en la práctica clínica. Pues como ya ellas vienen diciendo, pues que es, digamos, como que un poquito complicado, ya que, digamos, actualmente ellas tienen en todo esto 700 camas disponibles. Entonces, se han ido como que turnando esas tareas, digamos, como que en compañía. Entonces, digamos, como que una viene ayudando al paciente y otra viene registrando. Entonces, como que se comparten esas tareas y adquieren más conocimientos. Y que también ha sido, digamos, como que un poquito más complicado, ya que todavía se presentan más allá los casos de COVID. Como digamos que a veces hay unas que descansan y otras no. Nos dio el ejemplo de que pues hay algunas de ellas pues que no tienen, digamos, como que ir a prácticas o ir a trabajo, entonces pues se quedan en sus casas viendo Netflix y estando cómodas. Si alguno tiene, digamos, alguna pregunta pues por hacerle a las señoritas presentes o a la doctora, pues es bienvenido a hacer la pregunta.
Louisa, do you or Dorian, do your students there have any other questions they would like to ask us while they have us here?
Yes, I have a question. From the pandemic period and now on this 2022, how was the change for you in the university and the clinics and hospital? Like, what was the experiences like before and after? Like, what was that change that you say like, wow, this is like a big change from 2020 and 2022?
I'll let the students out, because I'm in a university, I'll let the students answer from a hospital perspective.
Okay, thank you.
For us, there was a lot of cancelled pracs in probably 2021 when we weren't in the pandemic. Western Australia has just really reached the peak of COVID now. So we aren't through COVID yet. We're still working through it. We're in the thick of it right now. So for us, we're not post-pandemic yet. We're right in the middle.
But I reckon the biggest changes would be not being able to go to hospitals as a student. Where before we would be able to go to a hospital very easily and do our practical, but now it takes quite a few months to arrange this.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I was saying before, that those students who were in, say, semesters 5 and 6, it has actually delayed the completion because our registration board won't let them register on completion of university until they've finished a certain number of practical hours. And if they haven't demonstrated that, they are not eligible for registration. So, and just to explain, as these ladies said, we're really in the middle of it here, and the peak is later for us because Western Australia is such a large state. It's almost half of Australia for us over on the West Coast. The whole state was locked down, so we could largely move within the state, but we couldn't travel to other parts of Australia. We certainly couldn't travel overseas. And the state was locked down. So that meant that for that first kind of large part of the pandemic, we really had no COVID here because we were locked down, no one in, no one out. And it was kind of okay for us because it's such a big state. We could still go up north on holidays or down further south, and it wasn't so bad for us. People who did gain an exemption to come into Western Australia would have to go into hotel quarantine and stay there after, for I think initially it was 14 days.
Yes.
And then had to test negative before they could come out. So it didn't stop COVID, it just delayed it from coming into the state. But even though the hospitals and the aged care facilities still didn't want to take that risk and have students there. So that's why for us, while COVID's been here and it peaked in other parts of Australia, say last year, you might have heard about Victoria, the most locked down part of the world. They were locked down in their own homes for over 250 days. It was terrible for them, but it meant that their COVID peak was a long time ago, and for us, it's just now. I think it's when you go to a hospital now, you have to have a RAT, a rapid antigen test before you can go in and visit. I am on the board of a large aged care provider, and this morning at 10:30 I need to go to a function at one of those facilities, and I will have to take a RAT before I go in. So I guess that's different for us. You go in and visit somebody in hospital, you have to have a RAT at the front and be screened. That's all very different for us. But I think elective surgery has resumed now, as far as I know. Do you know if that's true, ladies? I think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they put a hold on elective surgery because the concern was that we would need all of those hospital beds. But because that's not been the case, elective surgery has recommenced. Sorry, Louisa, that's a lot of translating.
Thank you. Ok, so, pues la pregunta que le hice a las señoritas fue, digamos, cuáles fueron esos cambios que vieron desde el 2020 que comenzó la pandemia hasta ahorita, hasta el 2022. Ellas dicen que fue un gran cambio, ya que, digamos, vieron ese cambio en el año 2021, porque ahorita mismo, donde ellas se encuentran, está el pico alto, o sea, todavía sigue intacto pues el COVID allá, no como aquí en ciertas partes de Colombia que todavía está, pero está como, entre comillas, moderado, allá no. Allá, digamos, como que fue un poquito difícil para ellas, ya que tenían que estar, digamos, como que con poca compañía, o sea, tenían que estar ellas, ¿sí? No como, digamos, nosotros que vamos a nuestras prácticas como normalmente, no. Ellas, digamos, se enfrentan, digamos, a la realidad más que nosotros, digamos, como que ya están ellas en 5º semestre de enfermería, entonces ya prácticamente ya son básicamente ya enfermeras, entonces se enfrentan a la realidad de eso y de por lo que pasaron de esa pandemia, y más porque todavía primero dijeron que sí, de que los casos habían bajado, sí, ya todo el mundo se puede retirar el tapaboca. El estado donde se encuentran ellas actualmente es, digamos, como que el estado más grande de Australia. Entonces, eso hacía de que la gente visitara esa parte, ese estado. Entonces, las personas tenían que hacer obligatoriamente cuarentena por 14 días. Entonces, eso sí, digamos, en cierto modo disminuyó los casos. Pero como había más personas, digamos como que entraban más personas a ese estado, los casos del COVID aumentaban. Entonces sí fue como que más difícil para ellas, tanto en ese año como ahorita, porque todavía no han disminuido los casos.
Aunque hay que esperar que Australia llegó muy tarde el COVID porque ellos se encerraron, y como se encerraron, no tenían COVID. Cuando abrieron fronteras fue que llegó, pero ellos estuvieron muy bien al principio, y de hecho, mientras nosotros sufríamos por la economía, ellos estaban bien. ¿Sí? Fue diferente. Dr. Gay, I was saying, Dave, that the COVID actually arrived too late to Australia because you were closed at first. So that was great for you.
Yeah, and well, not all of Australia, but for us in Western Australia. And look, the government had a lot of criticism. A lot of people were very unhappy, but I think the rationale for that was that if we can wait until we have a large portion of the population not just double vaccinated, so we have first 2 vaccinations, more than 95% of the population, first booster shot, more than 70%. So that was really the aim of the government, to not open up really until we had 70% booster vaccination rate. And now they recently announced there will be a second booster, which is now available for certain groups of people. So older people over 65, people who are Indigenous communities and have a disability. Can you think of the other? I think that's about it. So disability, yes. Indigenous, over 65, or people who are immunocompromised. Immunocompromised and things. So they are entitled to second booster. It's eligible. I would go and have a second booster myself, but I'm not eligible. But I think that will probably come in time. So that's why we're very grateful, really, and that for us here, it hasn't been nearly as bad as it could have been. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ok, pues le voy a traducir, pues básicamente, así como estaba diciendo la doctora Dorian, era pues que digamos que el COVID allá llegó tarde, ya que ellos sí fueron, digamos, hicieron todo estratégicamente, ellos cerraron las fronteras rápido que nosotros, pero al momento de abrir ya esas fronteras, pues gente estuvo interesada en ir al país, en irse a esos estados donde ellos se encuentran actualmente, entonces eso hizo fue que pues aumentaran más los casos, los cuales pues parte de la comunidad no estuvo bien de acuerdo acerca de eso, ya que digamos estaban los casos aumentando y abrieron las fronteras, no como aquí que abrieron las fronteras ya digamos como que a mitad del año 2021, allá no, allá digamos en pleno pico del COVID, abrieron las fronteras y mucha gente no estuvo de acuerdo de eso. También se implementó el programa de vacunación, se implementó rápidamente el programa de vacunación, no como aquí, que aquí, digamos, se demoró para llegar la segunda dosis a las personas. Allá no, allá se implementó rápido este programa pues, de vacunación con la segunda dosis. El 95% de la comunidad pues, de este estado ya estaba vacunada. Pero, digamos, como que personas de 65 años no estaban como que muy, digamos, seguras acerca de esta vacunación rápida. Aquí, digamos, que sí, mundialmente hubieron personas que no estuvieron de acuerdo con esta vacuna porque se creó rápidamente. Entonces, digamos, también hubo un problema también en las comunidades indígenas porque también, pues, hubieron muchos problemas con esto. Entonces, pues, esa fue la respuesta de ellas. Si alguno tiene más otra pregunta que hacerle, sí o si no, pues...
Creo que John me dijo que tenía una última pregunta.
Sí. Hello, my name is John Aguirre. I am a student representative and I am in the 7th semester. The question is, how projected or what goals has nursing do you have in your country after the pandemic?
Sorry, was that? Yeah, was that what goals do we have in nursing after the pandemic? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear.
John, que si le puedes repetir la pregunta.
How projected or what goals has nursing do you have in your country after the pandemic?
Okay, so what goals do we have in nursing after the pandemic? Okay, I'll be honest, I'm not sure our goals have really changed. I think it's just, maybe not goals, it's just taught us to be more flexible, I think. What would you ladies say? Do you think the goals have changed since the pandemic? Or do you think the goals in nursing?
I don't think they have, but I really hope that patient loads decrease.
Yeah, of course, for us, the problem at the moment, and John, I'm not sure if this answers your question, but I don't think the goals of nursing have changed. But yes, because so many staff are off sick because they have to isolate, and that the workload for the nurses that are left is very, very high. And of course, they're all very tired and sometimes they're getting sick. And so I think everyone's looking forward to coming back to, I think the goal is to get back to more normal and not having to look after so many patients with just one nurse. It's been very, very high workload for the nurses.
And I think also recruiting more nurses throughout the next few years as well.
Yeah. I think, you know, in Australia, and I'm sure around the world, nurses are held in very high, a lot of respect for nurses, but I think I'd like to think that's even gone up another level now, that people maybe have a better understanding of what it is that we do. And a lot of people who've never had any connection to hospitals have been exposed to nurses and to nursing over the COVID pandemic. And I think they have a much better understanding now of what we do and how very highly skilled we are to look after very sick patients. So I think that's been a bit of a revelation for a lot of people, and that's a good thing.
Ok, bueno, entonces la pregunta que hizo el compañero John fue, digamos, cuáles eran, digamos, como que esas metas que ellas se esperaban, pues, para el futuro en enfermería. Pues dijeron que principalmente, pues, que disminuyeran los pacientes, que eso es lo más importante para ellas, que disminuyeran los pacientes y los casos de COVID, y que también todo volviera a la normalidad para, digamos, tanto su universidad como para las prácticas de enfermería y para el personal de enfermería, que ellas esperan como que ese sea la meta establecida y esperan que se cumpla.
If I can also just say that a lot of the workforce, the shortage of nurses that we see at the moment as well in Australia is because we get a lot of nurses from overseas. And of course, during the pandemic, they've not been allowed to travel into Australia, and that's doctors as well as nurses. A lot come from overseas, and sometimes they just come for a couple of years for a working holiday. But without those medical and nursing staff, it has really made the shortage much greater and much more difficult. So we're hoping now that we will be able to welcome those overseas doctors and nurses back to Australia, and that will really help.
Ok, thank you. También dijo que también dijo que les agradece, digamos, a los enfermeros y a los doctores que viajaron, digamos, en todo el estado de Australia, ya que nadie podía viajar, entonces las únicas personas que podían viajar eran los enfermeros, y los doctores, digamos, ayudaron más como que en estos problemas, igual que pasó aquí en Colombia, digamos, un paréntesis, que digamos, si necesitaban enfermeros o doctores en cierta región de Colombia, pues esto también se hacía. Entonces, ellas también están agradecidas pues por esto. So here in Colombia happens the same. Here in Colombia, in the year of 2020, here the COVID, the emergency was high. So also as you, other doctors and nurses travel from other cities to help more, because here in Colombia, we have a problem with doctors and nurses, so they help us to go to transport to another cities, and here are the same in Colombia. Ok, si alguno tiene, digamos, otra pregunta por hacer, o pues ya podemos dar terminada pues la reunión, me dice.
Gracias, Luisa. Well, dear students, thanks for being here. Thanks for your time. Thanks for this opportunity. Actually, it's their time that we talk with Dr. Gail. She's really close to us, to our university. So it's amazing to have you here with us this night, this morning for you.
Thank you, and thank you for organizing. It's always, as when I emailed these ladies to thank you for joining us this morning, I said it's amazing to be sitting here in my home, and you're in the hospital not too far from here, and you're on the other side of the world, and we still have this common understanding about being nurses and providing the best care we can for patients, and for you and I being very passionate about educating these new nurses, and it's just a real delight for me. I want to come and visit. I said to my husband, we have to go to Colombia. He goes, we do? I said, yeah, we have to go to Colombia. He said, oh, you just want to buy an emerald? I said, yeah, well, maybe while I'm there, I'll buy an emerald.
Yes,
but I would love to come and visit. I would love to come and visit. So thank you to my colleagues here, and Dorian, thank you for organizing and inviting us to share this opportunity with you in International Nurses Week.
So thanks you, and I want to ask you, please send me your full name and your identification number or passport number to send you the participation certificate of the International Week, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So that's great.
You have my email, so please send me that information to send you the certificates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Louisa, for doing such a great job translating. I'm very, very impressed that you picked all of that up by teaching yourself. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for with the university to giving me this opportunity, more with the teacher Dorian to giving me this opportunity, because I have no idea. And maybe one day, who knows, in the future, I can go to visit it to you. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful that it's a big pleasure to translate to you and the other person. Thank you so much.
You would always be very welcome here. Always very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too. And some students, they were scared. I said, no matter if you don't speak English very well, you need to.
Well, as you can tell, we don't speak Spanish, so thank you for your patience with us. So I think I learned how to order a glass of wine when I was in Spain. That was about as far as it went. And so it's not very helpful in this context, though.
Okay, it's a task to learn Spanish from another time, right, Dr.
Oh, another time. All right. We will say goodbye now.
Gracias. Feliz noche. Gracias. Feliz noche.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you again.
Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Louisa. Thank you, John.
Take care. Bye-bye.